Refuting even more YouTube atheist myths. One of the most popular atheist slogans is the absence of evidence is evidence of absence. Now, even just hearing this convoluted sentence, it should have your mind questioning the twisting and the turning of common sense. With close examination, this unravels real easily. It confuses what is known by a certain person in certain circumstances with what is and is not the case. For example, imagine a young man in ancient Greece. Using all of the knowledge and experience at his disposal, he might conclude that there are only 3 continents, only a handful of planets and stars in the sky. But what exactly does this tell us about the actual number of continents, or the amount of stars in the galaxy for that matter? Answer: tells us very little, if not nothing at all. Squint your eyes just a bit, and you'll clearly see beyond this flash of atheistic folly. You'll notice that the absence of evidence is evidence of nothing. The new atheist movement, they love to call faith a crutch, a wish upon a star, hope, rather than reality. Don't you know that we Christians simply project our wish for a protective father figure upon our imaginary God? We invest in him supernatural powers to convey on us what nature denies us. Well, what can we make of this Freudian nonsense? Well, the first and most obvious is that just because we wish for something, it says nothing about whether that thing is true or false. I, for one, wish for good friends. Does that make them all imaginary? We as an American people once wished we could land on the moon. That wish had no hindrance to its realization. I've heard heaven referred to as the adult Disneyland. But of course, saying something like this, that Christians just long for puppy dogs and rainbows in the sky, it willfully sidesteps the Judeo-Christian belief in hell. I mean, who among us wanting to feel warm and fluffy inside with our imaginary beliefs are going to conjure that one up? And then, of course, we come to the evolutionary hypocrisy smuggled into this atheistic attack. From an evolutionary point of view, belief should help the individual survive. The Evo doctrine of survival of the fittest implies that in order to survive in this world, one would need an accurate picture of what's actually going on, especially when it comes to food gathering or avoiding predators. A deer that wishes wolves were friendly is one dead deer. After all, if one's investing time in this so-called imaginary belief system, well, he should lack the time and energy needed for evolutionary survival. The massive acceptance of this supposed evolutionary hindrance habit should be a big problem for atheists who swear fidelity to Darwinian evolution, shouldn't it? Lastly, many atheists will claim that to live by anything but pure materialism is to open the door to all kinds of craziness. Brock, should we start believing in unicorns just because they can't be disproved? Bertrand Russell got this whole thing started by giving the example that a celestial teapot was roaming the galaxy, undetected by our scientific instruments. But Richard Dawkins, he's the one that gave them their favorite atheist one-liner. If you listen close, you can almost hear the atheist community reading it for the first time and thinking, oh, this is brilliant. This is gonna cut like a knife. This is the death blow quip. This is going to bring those evil theists to their knees. The flying spaghetti monster one-liner. Oh, I chill. I quake in fear of it. Just having it leave my lips is somewhat terrifying. However, with just a little scrutiny of their flying pasta and one-horned horse examples, one can see that the craziness here lies entirely on the part of the atheists saying such nonsense. Teapots don't fly, and pasta is a very unlikely ingredient for monsters. The analogy is not only bad, it's grade school name-calling at best. What adults should do, rather, is be constantly aware of what reason does and doesn't tell us in a given situation. There may be things outside of our experience that have features different from those within our experience, and we should be open to such possibilities. And as a side note, the Wright brothers spaghetti monster thing, that's always amused me. After all, if you ask 10 atheists whether or not they believe in aliens, 9 of them are going to say yes without hesitation. But these unknown aliens are completely outside of our testing. They could have 50 hearts. They could have 400 eyeballs. They could use telepathy to communicate with one another. Would it not be eat crow, put your atheistic foot in your mouth great if the first alien we ever encountered was a flying spaghetti monster? Take it to the bank.
This is a snow day. Yes! 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 Yes!